All right, and we are live.
We will return to London after midnight on WTSF.
Yeah, I know. I've been thinking about it a lot. I just wanted to hear your voice. You know what today is, right? I can't stop thinking about it. About what happened. And to his face. It was just a prank. I didn't mean for that to happen. It's been 5 years. And welcome back to RegionFree. Just want to spend a moment to catch you up to date because it's been a minute. About 10 months ago, the last episode of the second season of RegionFree went on the air and off the air. None of us really knew at the time what the future held or whether that was really it. But one thing didn't change, and that was that you guys didn't stop asking. And this wonderful community that we've built up over the pandemic and even a little bit before and hopefully long after, we never gave up on the idea of having a single show where as commentators, as a panel, but also as importantly the chat, and even those who don't want to chat but just want to watch and come together could all have one place. And through some trial and error, we tried to get that ball rolling, and it proved more difficult than you'd expect. It seems like you should just be able to call up some friends and push a few buttons and you're on the air. And we learned the hard way that that was not how this worked. But we're back and we're here. And we intend to give you the most fun show that we possibly can. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. I'm not Piz. We're very different people. Piz started something amazing a long time ago. And he brought a lot of amazing people together. I have nothing but the most hearty respect, admiration, and friendship for Piz, but I can't be Piz, and I cannot pretend to be Piz. So as I show run this season of RegionFree, I'm going to ask for your indulgence. I'm going to be me, and I know that's not Piz, and I know for some people that's a big step down, but you know what? Any kind of attempt for me to be someone besides myself is going to end in abysmal failure, so we're just going to do this. Along the way, everyone that grew up watching movies on old VHS or old UHF stations or at the drive-in, at the movie theater, or hell on your tablet, I think we got a lot to say. We got a lot of ground to cover. So I'm not going to spend any more time. I'm just going to say thank you for holding us, for making us continue, and just for being that community that I think all of us have always searched for. That's the sentimentality. Hey guys, how was everyone tonight?
Yo!
Doing great. Excited to be back.
Your legs are what?
My legs are asleep. I have a cat on my lap, and she will not move.
Oh,
it's going to be like this for the next 2 hours.
On my lap and I want to pet it. Oh, there's a kitty on my foot and I want to touch it.
Feels like a Seals and Crofts song, right?
Huh?
It's like a Seals and Crofts song. Cat on my lap and I just can't stand it.
I want to pet it, man.
Hey guys, so can we just like throw some hands in the air for Christian Hanna horror with that fucking theme song, right?
Hell
Yo,
yeah.
that fucking song makes everything.
Yeah.
Cutting the intro to the song, and I'm like, this is the only reason it works at all. So, hey, Christian, man, you're the best. You've done 3 theme songs for 3 seasons of this show. You are invaluable to me and to all of us, I think.
Yes. Awesome job as always, Christian.
All right. So I want to say hello to everyone out there in the chat. I'm not going to read down your list of everyone that's saying hello because, frankly, I'm seeing like 50 like chat posts already, and I'm not going to be able to keep up with that because I'm just incompetent. Again, not Piz. Sorry.
Chat, we love you. You're all valid.
Except for that one guy.
Yeah, well, we won't point him out by name.
Yeah, but we all know.
Of course.
Hey, before we get started, I have an idea, guys. I don't know how you'll feel about it, but I feel really strong about it. And that I think that from now on, we should recap the messages left for us on the previous episode, because I think we can give our viewership a little bit of the spotlight. So This is a segment I think we should call We Read Your Mail. Dan, could you read the message from John Cunny?
Josh Cunny, will there be a special episode on the Halloween Ends like was done with the last 2 movies?
I'm guessing the answer is fuck no.
It would be really awkward to do it now, wouldn't it? Did we miss something while we were away? Did a movie come out that really divided the community? Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. Hey, Sam, I picked this one out especially for you and your in-laws.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh my god, I can barely read that. It's so tiny.
You can do it.
Okay. All right. Lorne mentioned slugs. I think slugs mating is probably the most beautiful form of mating of any animal, and I find it pretty fascinating. Slugs are either male or female. Now, how they change their sex is quite fascinating and interesting. After 2 slugs mate, most of the time they can't untangle their male sex organs, so one of them has to literally chew their organ off, becoming female. I don't know about you, but that to me sounds pretty cool. Weird, but I like weird. So cool. You know, I already knew about ducks with the corkscrew penises, right? I did not know about slugs.
We're going penis forward
something
on this episode. I didn't.
Mhm.
All right, we're gonna put it up front. Okay.
I'm not big on slugs, but I've
I'm
left
aware.
trail of goo a couple places in my time.
Hey.
Whoa.
Whoa. We'll get there. But
Gentleman's chin.
it is
Slug
early in the
Yeah.
evening for that, I think, sir.
So ducks are.
I didn't
is that-
cuss. I didn't
is that
cuss.
just
Another
full
40
shit
seconds.
ducks?
Wow. I am going to cough a lot, guys. That's just going to be how it is. We're all
That's
going to
all
deal with
right.
it.
It's all right.
But Steak, because I think you've already established that you're ready to go full bore. But why don't we have you do the third message, which came from Zombie 7979.
Zombie 7979, my man, says, hello, not looking forward to seeing this movie.
What movie was this, though?
It was Men.
RegionFree season
Yeah.
3, episode 1.
Okay. This segment's going to be dangerous, I think.
I think it's going to be deliriously fun.
Oh,
I
it's
think
going to be wonderful, yes.
Folks, fuck. Thank you. First cuss of the new season. I love it.
No, I beat you to that.
I've been quiet.
That was a bad cuss then. That was bad, and we're going to get ruined on YouTube.
Oh, man, sour grapes. Dude.
86.
I had the first good cuss.
Do you get monetized for talking about duck penis, or is that like okay?
Well, we're not going to monetize ever, so we're good.
Oh,
Okay.
no, yeah, we can.
Right.
I'm here. I can't. We
I would
can't be
love to monetize talking about duck penises, but it's almost impossible to make money in that field.
No.
It's a very
Why
niche.
is it a field?
It's a very niche group of
The field of duck penis is
The field of duck peni.
It's a field for people that just want to do something with their lives.
I just
It's
wanna
not a
get in on the
physical
ground
field.
floor.
Wait, I think you could get government money to study this,
You have
Yes.
to love the world.
Duck penises.
but only in Alaska. You ever notice all the weird research projects that Congress funds are all in like Alaska or Fiji?
Yeah.
It's never like in Ohio.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, it can be like a phallus sort of building. There you go. Look at that.
Okay.
Greg, come over here and look at this mallard's boner.
Have you ever seen such
It
a
must be
moment?
from Australia. It spins the other direction.
Wait, Steak. Was that like the Nazi version, or?
We're not going to quantify it.
Okay. All right. So, guys, let's go back to the beginning of rhyme, and talk about how we all found genre of cinema and offbeat cinema. It doesn't have to be horror necessarily, but just, at that age when you stopped kind of like caring about the Saturday morning cartoons and started thinking Texas Chainsaw was cool. Let's talk about how we got there. All right. So, Jonathan, you want to lead us off?
Oh Lord,
I would love that.
that's mean of you. You know I'm too high for this. I needed to watch somebody first. Yeah, man. So my parents, I've talked about this a few times. They owned a pizza restaurant that had a video store attached to it. So like, I pretty much had free reign on anything that I wanted to, rent and take home, at least for a couple days, So nobody was really watching me, so I would rent this stuff, and like it took me like 2 or 3 tries to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was like the one, right? Like that's the one that like I felt like wrong for watching it. When you put that movie in and like you get just to the part where the corpse, is hanging and we're pulling back from it, you're like, I feel like this is not okay. Like somebody's gonna come in and stop me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's where I saw just so much of it. Sort of, I didn't have to deal with, asking my mom to go rent it for me or anything. I could just kind of grab it, which probably screwed me up pretty bad, like later on in life.
That's what did it?
Yeah, probably, for sure. No. No, like it didn't do it. Like it was already there, but like, it's a talking point.
So that was your horror cherry buster then?
That's like the first one I remember for sure.
Okay.
But that one sticks with me. Like I remember watching Friday the 13th, like most of those with Joe Bob in like 1998. Like there was so much of that in the 90s. Like
I didn't know you knew him before YouTube. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So like, did you move from North Carolina or?
I was passing through.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So, Stinky, where did it begin?
Well, it began in a little town called Warsaw, New York, August 6th of 1992. No,
Did you say August 6th?
yes.
So, like the bombing of Nagasaki's anniversary?
Yes.
Isn't that
Okay.
the day after your birthday, Lorne?
That's why he's so tall.
Shut up, you.
It's also the birthday of one John Benet Ramsey a year before.
Hey, listen.
2 years before.
Longevity matters, and I win.
Hey, you.
I think
But I mean, like my earliest memory is just like my mother, I think, was 17 when I was born. So young mother, young friends that would watch me when she was at work and things like that. The first horror movie, it's really probably the first movie in total that I remember, was the Night of the Living Dead remake. I guess they had rented it. I don't know. I just recall jumping on the bed a lot and then seeing this lady run. And then I didn't move. Terrified, but just absolutely enthralled. Also, just as far as her being young, she wanted to watch this shit too. So it wasn't just when I got left with her friends. Like we'd watch things together. And like Nightmare on Elm Street was pretty much instantaneously, the be all and end all for me. But I mean, past that, one of the first places we lived was on the other side of a large parking lot from a home, like a mom and pop video store. And that fucking place, I spent hours in that place, just looking, reading once I could, looking at the covers and all that, and just be, that's got to be crazy. I can't rent that one. No way. That's terrifying.
And that was like something like Mortuary, which once you eventually saw it, you're like, there's nothing here, man.
Yeah. It was always the worst movies, or just like maybe they're not even bad, but just like the best art has like the least exciting fucking.
I still want to see most of the movies that they were pretending to be. Like there's still movies out there I want to see pretty bad that are technically not even a real thing.
That were just a marketing image.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
like I want to see
Canon.
the movie for Slaughter High, like where there's like a skeleton graduating.
Mhm.
Facts. Yeah. Well, you could just buy and read any paperback published in the 80s and you'd get that because they all have that skeleton on them. I'm afraid to ask, but Dan, where did this start for you?
Oh, well, I was really weird kid, obviously, as most of us were. I went to Catholic school, which is odd because that's like a commonality I find with a lot of people into horror. You know, you go through that. So I had a sense of the Gothic and everything. It's always hard to remember my first horror film, but I was really into Hammer. I always loved Paul Naschy,
MC
even when I was younger. Who?
MC Hammer.
MC Hammer, absolutely. We're
Okay.
Hammer
tight
don't
to
hurt
this
him.
day. I'm wearing those pants right now. Patreon at some point. But no, Hammer, of course, Universal Horror back then was, you know,
Mhm.
very, very early on. Always had that love for Paul Naschy that continues to this day. And I just started devouring everything. I've been a horror fan, I'd say, since I was at least 4 years old, when I can, you know, even remember. And I really think Catholic school. And of course, it comes later. Obviously, it wasn't among the first horror films that I saw, but seeing Hellraiser, which it's hard to describe depending when you saw that movie, depending on your age, but that was something different. I mean, I love slashers like the next guy, but that was something different, something game changing that really like just blew my mind and showed me what the horror genre was capable of producing, because there was nothing else quite like that in 1987. And between that, I'm also a Cronenberg junkie. I can remember watching Videodrome when I was really little, not understanding a damn thing about it, but I knew there was something there, and it
Just
really,
little Dan with his Legos watching Videodrome in front of the family
Yeah.
TV.
I'm
You
not
know.
touching a videotape ever again because I know what happens.
yeah, exactly. But I remember my parents trying to get me into like normal stuff. I was a Cub Scout, believe it or not, and I hated it.
Oh.
Everything they tried, it was just like, you know, they never forbid me from watching things, which I think was a good thing.
Oh,
You don't want to do that to a kid, but
I got a question, kind of on your in that vein, Dan. What was
Yeah.
like the most? What was the one you shouldn't have watched, like way too young? Because it sounds like everybody was watching this stuff before they were like able to.
Oh, wow. So there's a lot, probably like half of what I watched, to be honest. I was really good at like bullshitting my parents. I remember it was just like, oh, Mom, it's just a monster movie.
You
Oh,
didn't get
Dad,
that
it's
one
just
that
a monster
traumatized
movie.
you?
There were a few that did kind of hit. You know, I'm sure in my head, I, you know, just like, oh no, surely that turtle didn't die. It was just an animatronic turtle in Cannibal Holocaust. It's just a movie. You know, there were little moments like that.
And that
I
was
mean,
the worst 6th birthday party.
I feel like
mean,
everyone's probably gone through this, where you get to a point where you realize that, oh, you can fake things like that.
yeah.
So then you go back and forth through an entire movie. That was fake. That was real.
yeah.
How did they fake that? That had to be real. That guy must be dead now. And you're like,
Yeah,
you know, like, or like, it's just, you don't fucking know. And that was the beauty of movies at one time.
Yeah. I can tell you, I got in trouble for drawing the Cenobites in school, in like serious
Michael Myers.
trouble. Like
Is that
you
still
went.
in Catholic
Well,
school?
they were very
Yeah.
anatomically correct, I fear.
If you gave me like 5 minutes too long on a test, I was putting Freddy Krueger on the paper.
Yeah.
I would have
Yeah.
thought for sure it would have been boobs. For sure you were going to say boobs.
No, learning
Well,
is
it was
fun
Freddy
with
Krueger
Freddy.
with boobs.
Yeah, I remember discovering like nunsploitation films and wondering why it was absolutely nothing like that in real life. God damn it! You know, no satanico pandemonium at Sacred Heart, unfortunately.
So, Sam, take us through it.
Well, I mean, the first movie that I saw in the theater was Aristocats, which I have no memory of. But the second movie I saw was Tremors. And I still remember, I still remember that movie, and I loved it. You know, and
That story started off very somber. The first movie I saw was Aristocats.
I know. I was like,
Tremors.
Aristocats was like really underwhelming. So thank God I got to see Tremors after the fact. It really picked everything up. So I think, and around that time, obviously we had Beetlejuice, we had Gremlins, we had Ghostbusters, all of these great, movies from '84. And I mean, part of the, I would watch those VHS tapes over and over and over. I actually learned how to use a VCR though with Star Wars. So I don't know why Star Wars didn't stick with me, but the horror stuff did. And especially with Ghostbusters and Beetlejuice, we got animated versions of those, and that kind of just kept me stuck in the horror for kids trend. And then it was really easy to just pick up horror in general at that point. And
even the worst horror movie is more fun than fucking Star Wars.
Yeah.
My mother tried so many times to get me into those fucking movies, and it never stuck.
The Beetlejuice cartoon is my Beetlejuice.
Hell yeah!
I'll take it over the first movie any day. I mean,
I'll agree.
I hate the fact that I have to say first movie because we're getting one.
I don't want to hear that right now. Like it's not even half an hour into this podcast. Can we
avoid the rage?
We have to be
for a
so
moment.
fucking negative already.
Yeah, exactly. But no, that cartoon is friggin' amazing.
It is.
Oh yeah,
You like that?
wonderful.
The Addams Family cartoon around the same time is awesome as well.
Yep.
I enjoyed the Addams Family
Everything,
movies. I didn't really watch the cartoon myself.
Yeah, the first two Addams Family movies are terrific.
Yeah.
I've just got this.
Oddly enough, the one with Tim Curry's terrible. Oddly enough.
Yeah, he's good at it, and
Hanna,
everyone else
too.
around him is dreadful.
Yeah.
Which is, I
This
think,
image of
probably
you
the case
steak.
a lot of times for him.
I have this image of you, Steak, just like smashing kids' Star Wars lunchboxes in school.
You nerd.
Yeah,
That's just in my head right now, and I
Steak
can't
goes home.
What is it, Han Solo?
Opens-
You're dead!
Steak goes home, opens his mouth, takes yet another Boba Fett head out of his mouth, and puts it on besides all the others.
What happened in the parking lot, like at a movie theater during a showing of Star Wars? Like, what happened to you there, Steaky? You ain't gotta you ain't gotta be that mad.
Oh, no, I'm just thinking like a pack of wild bullies rolling up to a theater.
It's kind of like there's
Wild boys.
There was the one Warriors gang that we didn't see that was all Star Wars kids,
They all have asthma.
and all have Leia's hair.
Yeah.
So after the Beetlejuice cartoon, where'd you go?
Mom and I spent a lot of time renting movies, from the Blockbuster, sometimes the Hollywood Video later on. But, every Friday night was pizza and renting movies. And I don't know exactly at what point I started watching more horror on VHS, but it was probably, I'm guessing it was probably one of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Because I do remember around my, 8th birthday, I think it was, she finally let me watch Freddy's Dead. I was allowed to rent it, and I watched it the whole weekend. And yes, it gave me nightmares because I was 8 years old and I really hadn't seen, I was always keeping my hands in front of my face at that age, but I still wanted to watch the movie. I still love Freddy's Dead though for, kind of that reason, because I broke her brain.
I love Tom Arnold as
it.
well.
Huh?
I said I also love Tom Arnold. So
no Roseanne though.
Well, for political reasons, no, of course.
Oh,
not.
fair enough. Yeah.
First, it's the new show, Sam. How fucking dare you?
I know.
She was right. She shouldn't have said it, but she was right.
Look, Steak, the woke mind virus has Jonathan. Leave him be.
Johnny Boys is playing it safe because I may have hit the old cat too hard. So,
Okay.
We'll be back for revenge.
That's gonna be a reference that people are gonna just describe all kinds of meaning
yep,
to.
didn't think about that either, but it all makes sense to people who know.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if I can finish that off, but wow, that sounded bad too.
It did. We got a whole one now.
anyway, so I broke my mom's brain watching that movie so many times over the weekend because, like, for the rest of her life, she would intermittently quote Freddy's Dead.
Jesus.
You know, like if we were driving somewhere, if we were driving somewhere and traffic was bad, she'd be like, "No screaming while the bus is in motion."
Which is a line doesn't even make sense. You're allowed to scream if it's not.
How about just screaming in general?
You'd think he likes the screaming. I mean, otherwise, kind of like.
Sure.
Maybe he's kind of tired of it though. After that many years,
then maybe don't do shit with knives on your fingers. Then
all I'm saying is
take all his fun away.
All I'm saying is that maybe it's overstimulation because, like, I have ADHD and sometimes I can't have noise in the people because it messes with me. So maybe.
No, Freddie's acting very terrible.
It's people like you, Lorne. It's people like you in this country trying to take their fucking finger blades away from everyone else. Shut your mouth.
From my cold, dead hands.
Finger knives kill no one. People do.
Yeah.
Bad sequels.
Why can't I walk around with my finger hand or my knife hand? Finger hand's just a regular hand. It'd be ridiculous to all of those.
So.
No, I mean that was that's kind of it. Just it was a lot of just going to the movies with mom on the weekends, and it was mostly horror.
Yep. I feel like I've told my story a lot of times, so I'll tell a very short and kind of sidewinding version of it in a second. But I just want to say, like, what I get from hearing everyone's stories is that there's just a group of people, because I think everyone kind of experiences horror movies at some point, but it's just a rare group of people or a small subset that actually like realize I want more of that. I mean, I want a lot of that. Like I want an unhealthy amount of that, and I found meaning there. I feel like that's my thing, and it's funny because I think that kind of gravity is something I can't even imagine to something like romantic comedies, right? I can't imagine young people being like, I can't wait to go home and watch, You Got Mail. But we were the guys that were like, oh, I have that VHS tape of Phantasm 2 that, is soft in all the gore scenes because I've played it so many times and rewind too much. Other kids, like, it was like just one of the guys, that scene. But for us, it was like, the sphere is hitting the priest's head.
It could be both. It could be two things. Could be true.
I wish it was both, but just one scene.
Just get that all out of the way.
But
I like to have two TVs now.
Talking about two TVs. When I was a kid, it was just a different world. It was the 1970s, and the world looked kind of sepia tone for real. That's not something they just do in movies. The world was really that way from my memory, and everything was kind of low quality. I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way. In a lot of ways, it was better, but everything had like a standardly low quality. So, we bought paperback books, and before we even could rent movies, we were turning on UHF stations that we could kind of get. If you didn't mind static and you didn't mind noise and you didn't mind sometimes losing picture entirely for a second or two because the rabbit ears had just invariably moved because they were too heavy for the set, then you could enjoy those movies. In fact, I think you ended up enjoying them more because of that rarity that we always talk about, right? We've had this conversation a million times. Everything's available now, so it's nothing feels special. Well, when you knew that you weren't going to watch a movie again for maybe a couple years, man, you were glued. And when I discovered monster movies, and that's what it was at first for me, big time. It was monster movies when I was like 3, 4, 5. I couldn't get enough of Godzilla. If it had a giant monster in it, whether it was Godzilla or whether it was the original King Kong, whatever, I was there and I was focused. That was my world. I guess I wanted horror, but there wasn't really that much available, right? And then amazing thing happened that both ABC and NBC started playing as their movie of the week, like fairly recent horror films. I can remember the broadcast premiere of Halloween and the original Friday the 13th and The Exorcist and The Omen. And these were event movies, and they were cut. There was commercials. They were bad transfers, and they were glorious. And I saw all of them in black and white because my parents had two televisions. Upstairs television was black and white. Downstairs television was the larger color set. Dad controlled the downstairs television. Mom never cared about the television upstairs, so I could control the upstairs television. So I didn't have a problem with whether a movie was old or new because everything was black and white. To me, oh well, this movie's just set in 1920, right? This movie's just set in 1935. It didn't matter, and that really like broadened my horizons. Those showings of those more recent films. I remember I wanted to go see a film that I'd seen a advertisement in a newspaper called One Dark Night. I knew nothing about this movie whatsoever, except that its title was One Dark Night, and it was clearly a horror movie. So immediately it's like, I want to go to the movie theater and see that because there's a show on television where these two ugly guys talk about movies, and they go to a movie theater to see them. I want to do that.
I could be one of those ugly guys.
Absolutely, and eventually I was.
I could be an ugly guy.
Full circle.
I have such potential for it.
I talked to my parents, and they were like, "No." So I did what any self-respecting young horror fan would do. Under 10, I said, "Grandma, you gonna take me to the movies? I want to see a movie called One Dark Night." She goes, "Yeah." Grandpa and I will take you to go see One Dark Night because it was PG. That was my ace in the hole. It wasn't an R-rated film. So we went there. My grandfather falls asleep before the trailers are over. He's like in the trail. And I'm watching the movie and I'm loving it. Hey, there's this dead guy on screen and there's lightning bolts. And, one of the Tilly sisters, I don't really know which one, is running around a mausoleum. It's just amazing. And then, of course, if you know the film, you know that ending, right? The wizard is bringing all the reanimated corpses out, but they're not really reanimated. That's the cool thing about it. They're not zombies. He's just moving dead people around, right? With his mind. Puppets. And it's like this madness, and it's far grosser than anything that was R-rated that year, right? My grandfather wakes up in the middle of it and clearly starts having World War II flashbacks. He's in a dark room. He doesn't know where he is. And he's like, and he's grabbing me. And this is making the movie experience all that much better. Because everyone in the theater is making noise. They're freaking out to this PG-rated horror film. And that was it, man. That was the moment. There was no going back. That was it.
You're a little older than me, but do you remember when you were first able to get a hold of Fangoria? Just a little bit.
I really appreciate you pointing out that I'm older than you.
Well, that meant you may not have, Fangoria. I don't know if you got it from...
1986, I discovered Fangoria.
Okay.
I bought it from the A&P in Califon, New Jersey, off the magazine rack. It was still cheap enough to buy off the magazine rack, not like the current incarnation, whereas you have to decide whether you pay your mortgage or buy the magazine.
Yeah.
And you only get it 3 times a year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at that time, it was 10 times a year.
Worth it.
And I went home and I loved it. And then I remember it. I owned a copy of Fangoria before I owned a copy of Famous Monsters of Filmland, because that wasn't available at the supermarkets, and it was rare that I could get to an actual bookstore. But and the Fangoria story for me is really interesting because if you buy a copy of it's either 1989 or 90 copy of Fangoria that has the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 on the cover, you'll find a letter to the editor from me in that magazine.
Hey.
No shit.
Be on the lookout for that.
Yeah.
Fangoria was huge for me. Huge.
It was, but you want to know what? After I was able to get to the bookstores and I started buying Famous Monsters and at that back issues, obviously at that point, but also Monster World and later, a little bit later, Scary Monsters. Like, to me, I've loved all of it. I'm not just I love the gore years. I love the slashers. I love all of it. Not saying I love every film that's ever made in any of all those eras, but I love it all. And it all goes really back to that night in the theater with my grandparents, and specifically seeing what a horror movie could do. Like, my grandfather was truly freaked the fuck out. And that reaction, that moment, whether it was good for him or not, I don't know. But for me, it was delirious. It set my life where I am.
Did you ever ask him about that later?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, because the unfortunate side of it is, like, he definitely had some stuff going on, rolling around his head from the war. And, like, I don't know how comfortable that would have been.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Fangoria was my Bible. Like, I wasn't a big tech kid. So the internet really, I was probably 18 before I did much anything on the internet. And
Old.
And that's why his arms are so big today.
there, like,
Just
but
in like the elbow region.
It's
Yeah,
just the
huge.
right arm.
huge, yeah, just the right one. It's Popeye. I'm trying to get that part, but no, Fangoria was my Bible. Like, that's how I found out about movies that otherwise, I might have come across them at the Ma and Pop, but that really let me know what I needed to be looking for. Now, I know Fangoria has had a lot of missteps in recent years, a lot of scandals, but that name for me was huge. I had to get that magazine, and I do remember when I was younger where you could get it in the supermarkets. Then it became like, okay, now I can only get it on newsstands, Borders, Suncoast used to have
And
it.
that's when you decided to subscribe, right? Because it was getting too tough.
You know what? I didn't, because I hated having the mailing thing on it. I always
yeah.
Dude, you didn't get it on it. They sent it in a black bag.
Oh, see, I've never subscribed to Fangoria. I always bought
They
it.
sent it like porn.
They did. They did. So can I just say a really brief Fangoria story that I think is pretty fucking cool?
Yeah.
So I was out at the World Horror Convention / Stoker Awards back in, I think, 2014, 15.
I need to go.
And so I'm in this one room. This just someone talking. I don't. That's not really relevant. And I turn around and I look into the back of the room and I'm like, that's Anthony Timpone. So I just walk back there and I'm like, hey man, you were like one of the most important dudes in my life in many ways. And he's like, no, people always say that about Bob Martin, the original, not the original, but the second editor of Fangoria, who was basically kind of made Fangoria what it is. I said, no, dude, you were the one that took it through all those years. My entire like late grade school and high school experience. And he was like, we never knew that any of that was happening. We thought like no one cared the whole time. We thought no one cared. And I asked about that time, I'm like, do you think it'll ever come back as a print magazine? Because at that point it was only a website. Yeah. And he looked in a very, very earnest, honest expression past his face. And he says, I really hope it does. But in a way, I hope they don't know they're making an impact. And how prophetic is that?
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
He's such a nice guy, too. I've heard people
awesome.
say bad things about him. I went to Fangoria Weekend of Horrors. That was not my first convention, but it was my first big convention. And I used to see him all the time.
He was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, he was just so friendly, just a class act. I wish he was still kind of front and center. I wish he'd do a podcast. What a great vibe.
Those would be great stories.
Imagine he could call anyone.
And why? Why wouldn't you? I mean, he's just such a cool guy. So many memories. I think I met him the first time maybe in '95, probably. And I kept going to Fangoria Weekend of Horrors almost till the end. So that guy means so much to horror. If there was a horror Hall of Fame, Tony Timpone should be in there.
Yeah. I mean, because when you brought up Anthony Timpone, and I'm just like, wait a second, I remember that name. That was, that was the era that I was reading Fangoria, and it was funny because being like, it was around when I was like 10 years old. I started getting into wrestling and actually paying way more attention to horror movies, and that's about when I also picked up Fangoria and Mad Magazine at the same time. Back when Mad Magazine was black and white, as it should be all the time.
Except for the cover.
Yes, except for the cover. But yeah, no, I mean, it's just all these things that kind of, gets you through your misfit years.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I often wonder, I mean, I think I would have been a horror fan no matter what. I think I would have found it no matter what. But Fangoria, there's a lot of stuff I probably wouldn't have seen back then if I didn't discover those catalogs in the back and kind of getting into the old VHS trade, because
Video Search of Miami.
Yeah, I'd hear titles that
they ripped me off so bad all the time. I kept sending them checks.
I got screwed more than a few times from different things.
Was that like Columbia House?
Oh no, it was a guy working out of his basement.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the guy in his basement.
Guy in his basement businesses are like my favorite.
Well, but at that time, there was nothing available. Like we forget how little was available. Like you couldn't get Argento films uncut.
No, that was part of it because I'd
Yeah,
hear like Gore Zone, Fangoria. I something I knew was off, and I was like, okay, I need to find a way to get these things. So I was, my parents. I'm probably wondering like, what is Tenebrae, and why does he want to spend like that kind of money?
It's putting bombs together in the basement. He's
You
gonna
bought Tenebrae.
Tenebrae was a big title for those early years because it was so badly cut. And there was a
Yeah.
documentary called Dario Argento's World of Horror, which had the scenes uncut in it, and it let you know how much you were missing.
Yeah.
And it drove, I think, all of us nuts. And so, like, when you saw you get a catalog, which was a catalog, it was you went to the Kinkos and Xeroxed off copies and folded them and stapled them. But you'd see a listing, it was like the Holy Grail. Like, I'm going to get a VHS tag of the uncut version of Tenebrae or Phenomenon or Deep Red, the long version, which is the only version now.
Yeah.
Those were amazing years when you actually received the cassettes, that is, which didn't always happen from video.
I do want to throw in real quick, for whatever it's worth, I have never physically held a Fangoria magazine.
Oh
You're
my
off the show.
goodness.
You missed. I can't describe it. I mean, there's a lot of 20.
It's full color, buddy. Full color.
Oh no,
Yeah.
that's no. When I was a kid, they weren't full color.
Oh, okay.
They had
No,
they
not
had-
immediately.
Well, that's why they
Yeah.
went out of goddamn business. All those
they had
colors.
16 pages in this middle that were color. The rest of it was black and white.
Yeah.
Money for
Yeah,
that.
I followed it through each era. But I loved it. They highlighted certain things that nobody else was talking about back then. Because I knew pretty early on some of my favorite stuff was not mainstream. The gothic horror films and everything, of course, were. But a lot of the stuff I really loved, the exploitation stuff that I discovered over the years. I remember just hearing titles. This is a little later, but hearing something called Zombie Bloodbath by Todd Sheets, which is a piece of crap.
It is.
It's like a made up name.
There was a zombie drought at that time, and I remember seeing that, and I was like, I have to get it. This was going to be the biggest moment of my life, was getting this god-awful SOV horror film.
There's
on
so
VHS.
much to be said about that time in history where you could hear about a movie and desperately want to see it, and there was no fucking way possible you were going to see it today.
Yeah.
So so Chaz Bullen, when he started Deep Red magazine because he felt that Fangoria was too mainstream. Think about that for a second. Well, they wouldn't run the photos. Right? They wouldn't. There was this line in the sand, like they'd show a gore shot from a slasher film, but like Cannibal Holocaust or Anthropophagus, that was off. They weren't going to do that. They weren't going to touch that. And when he started, you became very clear how much censorship, I mean, industry censorship, not government, but how much industry censorship existed in America. And I think if we didn't have Chaz Bullen died not realizing what a difference he made, I think, because I really think that today that hunger is what drives those once underground titles way overground. You want to see Cannibal Holocaust, it's on every major streaming service.
Yeah, that didn't used to be the thing, right? Like that was
no. There's a reason I own an import Laserdisc of it,
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Like you just be like, man, I want to see that. Maybe someday I'll accidentally stumble upon a copy of it or something.
Yeah. No, that it was, being that you don't have to work for anything today. And again, that Zombie Bloodbath, that was like the first time I think I spent like over $100 to get a hold of a tape.
Holy
And I
shit.
remember, being that young, I didn't have $100, and asking my parents, "Is like, why would you pay that for one movie?" And I remember my lie. My lie was, "Oh, there's 50 movies on it. It's like a big set." And that was my lie. And I was like, "All right, if you want to spend your birthday money on that,
Damn.
yes." So you can imagine when I watched it. But
I am much too young to remember any of this. I did have, a brief foray after I was well and truly hooked into like the pre-Facebook marketplace. Like it was just some group and they could trade tapes or just buy them, whatever. But like as far as like ordering shit out of a catalog, like an old roommate of mine, JV Bastard, you'd talk about ordering, T-shirts out of like the Rockabilia catalog and to send away for a T-shirt and waiting, who knows, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, whoever knows. But very few things that I ever have to like see that I even witnessed that. The Columbia House thing, I was clued in too early because my mom liked free stuff or very, very, very discounted stuff.
That wasn't really discounted by the time he got done.
Well, I don't think she paid him a dime. So I think she did.
Yeah, you
Good
could
on
vote,
her,
too.
man. Good on her.
She
That
just went,
still exists.
bill collectors.
believe it or
I
not.
just won't answer you.
They do DVDs. Yeah, oddly enough.
But like, I know it maybe is. I should have held on to this a little longer, But being able to see some of the different means of, watching shit is, as you say, like there's titles that you just like, oh, maybe one day I'll get to watch that, like Jonathan said. But like now we have the opposite problem. We can watch everything all at the same time. And it just makes it so fucking hard to even navigate unless you want to just go, okay, let's start from A.
Yeah.
But
Hey guys,
hi,
do you want to play a game?
Let's play.
I like games.
This is something we call.
I actually don't know anybody named Jack, so
Jack.
I know a Jack. So here's the deal. This is not really for us, although we're going to play along with the chat. So as these questions come out, I want the chat to throw up their answers, and we're going to decide who on the chat is right and wrong. So if I can do two things at once. First question is, which had the highest body count? Jaws 2, Psycho 3, or Night of the Living Dead? Come on, chatters, tell us. Well, you guys can talk too. Like, what do you think?
I have no idea. I've only seen Jaws 2.
It's gotta be Night of the Living Dead. And how do you count zombies in that?
No, they're dead.
Are these movies?
If these are.
I'm gonna say that depends
thought
how
this was
you
a
interpret
recipe.
it.
2 Jaws, 3 Psychos, and 1,968 Night of the Living Deads.
That, Jonathan, I think you are correct.
I think that's what this is. This is how to make a highest body count.
So is everyone going with Night of the Living Dead?
I'm gonna go A.
Well, you said zombies don't count, so.
Well, zombies don't count.
But are they
You
truly?
know what? I've never seen Psycho 3. I'm going Psycho 3. It's
Bunch
B.
of
The answer's
bigots.
B.
Oh, get on
Obviously,
that
man.
steak.
I'm just gonna go with C because my husband said C, so I'm just gonna agree with him. It's not my fault.
I'm
That's
going with him
wise.
too. Anybody that tall
Those
is
eyes.
smart.
I mean, I'm assuming on-screen deaths.
Yes.
So I know that's
Well, if it's a character who we see dead, right, but not a zombie. A zombie can't count; they're not alive, right? Because then you fall into the fallacy of like, well, they died and then they came back and we killed them again, right? So they can't count twice. That's not fair. Only Jesus gets that.
well. Then I guess
Jesus.
Oh.
I guess I'm going with A. I guess
All right.
maybe I might be talking myself out of the right answer, but there we go.
The correct
Lock.
answer, ladies and gentlemen, is Night of the Living Dead.
Oh shit!
My
Okay, then
husband's right as usual.
I got
Wow.
talked out of it.
Yeah. All right. Second, only 4 horror films have grossed over $500 million at the domestic box office. Name them.
All right, I know it. Chapter 1, I know for a fact.
Is it gonna be
That-
Scream 5?
No.
No. Saw. You know what? I think one of the Saw movies.
I think Jonathan is Googling the answer to cheat.
Okay. So it's It Chapter 1.
Yeah.
It Chapter 2. Children of the Living Dead. Barney's Great Adventure.
I have been yelling shit out here, just like talking to myself, thinking that I was answering all these so well, not realizing I was muted. I muted myself.
Well, the it is
It
100.
Chapter 2, 1 and 2 are probably on there.
But Chapter 1 is definitely on there.
Yeah, I don't think Chapter 2. Chapter 2 was not considered a failure. Now, all right, so I assume that's adjusted for inflation, right?
No, there's no adjusting for inflation. Are you kidding?
I assume that was adjusted for.
There's going to be some kind of weird ass math. You make what you make, and you spend that money then, not now. So
I know there's some dumb ones in there that like would they count something like I Am yeah, I get yeah.
Yep. I Am Legend is on the list.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's based on a Matheson horror novel, so I mean
Yeah, it is a horror film. So The Conjuring. Conjuring has to be in there. Now, I don't know about 2.
No Conjuring film has made over 500 million domestic.
Oh, I thought the first one did. All right.
Nope.
Let me think. Let me see.
Does Jonathan know he's not muted?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Oh, what am I thinking?
He put his mute button on random.
Wait, Jaws has to be in there, right?
No.
That came out in the before time.
In the long, long ago.
In the long ago.
Okay.
Oh my God, he's Bigfoot again. He's blurry. No, Paranormal Activity wouldn't be on there either.
No.
No, I don't.
I feel like I should know this, but I am pretty stupid. So
all
right.
The number one grossing horror film of all time is It Chapter 1, which made $700 million at the box office. The number 2 is The Sixth Sense, which made $72 million. I Am Legend, number 3 at $585 million, and World War Z rounds out the top at $540 million.
Ew.
I
had a
always
real
assumed
bad
that
time
movie
with
flopped.
Yeah.
Didn't realize it made money.
It
was ridiculously expensive, and they had to do reshoots.
And they cut out the entire Israel segment, which is 25 minutes of film. What 1988 horror film features music by the Chambers Brothers, the Electric Prunes, Paul Anka, and Guns N' Roses?
Music's not my strong suit.
I feel like I'm going to be annoyed that I don't say it,
You will.
but I can't think of it at this time.
Chat has to have this.
God, I love Paul Anka and Guns N' Roses.
88.
I'm going to talk to Axel, actually. I'm going to see if maybe the new GNR album can just be Paul Anka covers.
It's going to be called Russian Democracy. Ukrainian Democracy. The new
Everybody gets an RC Cola when it comes out.
Hey, I love RC. Shut your mouth.
I like RC, but they did Dr. Pepper for Chinese Democracy.
Yeah, that's true.
Christian would know this one.
Yeah, Christian would know this one.
We are shameful tonight because I don't know it.
It's just the first two that's really throwing me.
Yeah, I don't want to just start
You guys
throwing
want
out.
the answer?
Let's get the answer in here.
The answer to that is Bad Dreams.
God damn it! God damn it! I knew it. That's why I knew it.
Also, controversial opinion on Bad Dreams, better than any Nightmare on Elm Street.
I'll spit in your fucking face right now.
That's where I stand.
Better. Not
That's
only
not
better,
true.
way
Bunch
better
of
than
fucking nerds, you two.
Oof.
You know that?
the
Bad Dreams is
sequels.
better than Nightmare on Elm Street. It's a fancy
No.
No,
Not
no,
the
no.
sequel.
Look at my hat.
Better
The
than
sequels,
better than
not the
better
original.
than anything after the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, I didn't say
It's
the
not- it's not-
original.
It's not even really that difficult to see that. I mean,
Absolutely not true. I'll say it's better than 5, Freddy's Dead, and New Nightmare. 1,000%.
Better than 4? You just watch it. You can't say it's better than 4. That nostalgia.
Four is a perfect movie.
4 is fucking gorgeous. It's
Yeah.
beautifully shot. It's fun as fuck.
Yep.
it's dumber than a hammer.
How dumb is the hammer?
Now we.
I don't know. Like, it's not any dumber than anything else without a brain. So, like, I don't think it's very.
Is a hammer dumber than a box of rocks, or are they
It's
equally
a,
stupid?
it's a hammer
It's
dumber
not
than a
dumb.
high school guidance counselor. That's the question.
But you guys have watched Bad Dreams, right?
I've never
Yes.
seen
I have not. I
did
know
a
of it.
fucking watch along with it a month ago. I love it.
Me
It's a great
too.
movie. It's not better than the first 3 Nightmare sequels anyway.
Yes, it is. Anyway, so Generation Landslide. You ever notice that like there's this dividing line, whereas like there's a generation that just can't watch any movie older than like I don't know 93 or something. But if it doesn't have CGI dinosaurs in it, if it came before that time, they can't do it. And then there's us old folks that like look at the new trailers come out and go, like, all I see is cartoon animals on there. I don't see nothing real. So when did that happen? When did we get so divided? And why won't we roll with the new technology? And why won't the younger generation actually look to the past to some of the great films that we know they should respond to, but they just won't even give it a chance? What's going on?
Yeah, I think really, I mean, we talking kind of like that downfall of cinema. If you had to pick that one movie where you just notice that dip, I would say Mummy Returns.
That's interesting. So I was gonna go with the same time frame, but with 98 with Godzilla, or no, sorry, that was not 98, was it? Godzilla was 2000.
Was it?
No, Godzilla.
No, it was 98.
Oh, really? Oh,
there
okay,
was
okay.
a movie, Godzilla 2000.
Okay, that's where I fucked
Yeah.
up. Sorry.
That was a real Godzilla movie, though.
Yeah.
I saw both
Godzilla
of those. I got 'em
2000 is
confused.
good. That's how you remember. That one was good. That was the redemption.
He didn't have
one with the
it was
numbers.
short face, not
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I'm talking about Godzilla 98, Matthew Broderick. Anyway, sorry, Dan.
Taco Bell.
Not
dog.
just a bad T-Rex.
I know I'm going a little bit later with Mummy Returns, but that's when I really felt like, I know a lot of people say Independence Day, where it just felt like you started to see less and less effort. But for me, after Mummy Returns, you go back and watch that movie. I knew it was garbage even then.
Well, that's a bad movie.
It
That's different
is.
than-
It just felt like
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson made his film debut in that movie.
Stop
you show
it.
some
And
respect.
isn't
Why
that
would you
tragic
go-
that was the one?
I
movie
was
that-
so fucking pumped.
And you had to sit
11
through the whole movie to get
I
that
was
cameo.
so excited. Oh
and
my
then you
God.
were gutted.
Plus,
And you know what's even worse?
Lorne,
Scorpion
Dwayne "The Rock"
King is
Johnson
worse.
is a former professional wrestler turned actor. Go.
Large man.
Large man. But no, Scorpion King was even worse. That movie's a
Is
piece
he in a
of
Marvel
shit.
movie?
I saw that movie too.
Scorpion
No, he's a
King
DC
is absolutely a better movie.
I like
Oh.
Scorpion King.
It's
not good.
watchable. It's not good.
The direct-to-video
Better.
sequels starring Lou Ferrigno and Don the Dragon Wilson are better. And that's not me being
Goodbye.
I
funny.
don't know.
Please
that
leave.
works.
The
I'm
country.
not being funny. They are actually, in fact, better. Second one's not bad. That's where I would pinpoint it. There was
I
a lot
never,
of
I never watched
garbage.
the sequel to the Scorpion King. I just can't imagine bringing myself to do it.
I wouldn't recommend it to you, but
I also feel like the whole generation landslide, it's if you were born if you were born around after 2001, like if you missed the September 11th attacks or you were too young to understand it, it's like I feel like that's also a big dividing line. Like the last of the 90s and then the early aughts. That's kind of that's it for me.
Godzilla 98 was worse than the 9/11 attacks. I'm just gonna say,
Worse than
Amen.
75 9/11s.
pretty much.
Yeah, no.
Simultaneously.
I
Yeah.
think that's,
Godzilla 98 no one ever talks about the real sin of that movie, which is they made the only bad Jean Reno film.
Hey, May 20th, 1998. Never forget.
But we
It's
just had
just
some
a
fast
week from
food
today.
gimmicks. That's
Yeah.
true. Some
And
cool fast food.
Literally,
gimmicks.
we got the chalupa out of it, so
oh my god, in a week, Godzilla
Yeah,
98 is going to be
laser,
20.
I am.
laser.
Oh,
Whoa.
All right.
I had a non-flashback.
I was going to announce a 100 Chalupa live stream for next Saturday.
Oh.
Unfortunately, I'll be out of town, and that's not possible.
So what are you
There's
gonna
a
do?
Taco Bell
What
in
are you
every
gonna do with
town,
the 100 chalupas now?
Well, I'll give them to charity.
I think the real thing is that, like, at that time, the idea was Godzilla was part of the old film world, and they were making something for the new kids. They really were, but the problem is the new kids hadn't signed on yet. Like,
Yeah.
I think actually that movie would have done really well, like 5 years later. I still wouldn't like it, but it was just a little bit early for That Dumb. But That Dumb is kind of really common now, right?
I mean, I was the perfect age for that movie. I was 8. Like, I was the target demographic.
I was
So-
6.
But
my
I remember
God.
just being
I
disappointed.
was 42.
Disappointed. Really disappointed with the way Godzilla looked. Like, even as
Yes.
a kid, I was like, "This is."
I was
stupid.
disappointed that it wasn't Jurassic Park again. Like
Yeah.
But it was.
annoyed. Yeah, but not enough. It was like
No, it was Jurassic Park 3 again, is what it was, I guess.
Yeah.
But,
Lauren
but
just saw
Godzilla didn't
Gene
talk.
Reno. Lauren just saw Gene Reno and just was just like, where are the uncomfortable moments with Natalie Portman?
Big T beat me to it. I was going to say the Godzilla '98 cartoon is actually pretty awesome.
I can't speak to that, but
No,
I
It
had
had,
I
an
hated
awesome,
that cartoon.
it had an
too,
awesome
actually.
toy line. I really
did
liked
they throw darts and just pick their cast? It's like Matthew
Yeah.
Broderick, the Simpsons guy.
Let's get the guy that does a poo on the
Gene
Simpsons.
Reno.
Hank Azaria, you fucking shitbags. The Simpsons guy. Put some
Simpsons
respect
guy.
on his name.
Well, he made
Yeah,
Godzilla.
he
He was
Like
in a
Elijah.
Launch Game Polly, you fucking
Wasn't
moron.
Roger Ebert the mayor? I mean, that pretty much says everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, before he lost his jaw.
Oh.
Back when he could.
Forgot about that.
Wouldn't it be funny if he repelled
Godzilla's attacking.
Godzilla?
Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. I don't care about him. Yeah, I like movies too, dickhead. Everybody does.
He flipped the script on Blade Runner. I lost all respect for him. Didn't like it. Then he decided he liked it when it started getting.
Oh, he
attention.
did
You
that
ever
a
seen
lot.
Beyond
Yeah.
Valley of the Dolls?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He had no fucking business. None.
That's a drug culture movie. Like, I think people who are really into drugs love that movie.
You know what? I'm a big fan of drugs. Still don't like that movie.
I'm a big fan of hard drugs. I've never
I'm a
seen
pro. Yeah, I mean, I'm not. Yeah, maybe you got to go for something that melts stuff.
Something that if you leave out on the counter is going to kill your pet.
yeah, like maybe that's where you got to go. Yeah, you got to take your IQ down a few notches to really get into that movie. You got to
Doesn't
get
ruin
down
my
somewhere
IQ.
around wood.
I
and
don't.
bread.
I think it's a fun little dumb film. There's a lot of like what the hell's going on moments in that movie that I kind of like. I'm not gonna say I like the movie, but I kind of respect it for being a perfect timestamp of where bad cinema was in the psychedelic late in the '60s.
It's a hard one to recommend if like somebody's never seen it now. Like I
I
get
don't-
that.
It also anticipates all the John Waters films.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
but the difference is, of course, John Waters understood what he was doing. He was like, that was intentional.
If you
Yeah.
havenent seen it, go outside, unlock your car, open the door, shove your hand in it, and then shut the door again. That's a good approximation of what watching that movie's like, but mentally.
It's hard to recommend movies from certain eras to people now. You know, because I'll get a lot of people that are like, I want to see what like a real grindhouse movie is, and I in my head I can't answer it right away because I'm like, okay, what specifically offends you? Because it was a very different time.
Not even that, dude. It's just most people when they ask for something like that, it's like, I know what you're actually asking for, and it's not that. Like, I know what you're actually looking for.
Yeah, some people need that just boom, 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 brainless, streaming movie really now more than anything. That's where we've gotten now it's like content versus film. And there's a lot of just content out there. It's amazing to me how Netflix is, and it may not be alive for long, the kind of shit that they spend $100 million on.
I think
more of the content wise. I was just going to say, look at Bruce Willis's last 20 years.
Sure.
And it's going to be about correct. Just, hey, Bruce, we need you for like fucking 10 minutes. You got 6 lines, and we're going to put your face on the cover. How's this truck? Is that big enough? Can we fill that for you? Okay, thanks, buddy.
Those at least.
I'm not your Aunt Rena.
Oh,
The interesting thing there, though, is like I think with time, all those movies are going to be completely forgotten, and people will still think of him as a
Oh, yeah.
legendary movie star for the
I
high
hope so.
points.
I think the
I
idea
really
of the
hope so.
movie's changing.
But
Yeah.
I think that's not going to be true of everyone. Like Liam Neeson certainly had a second career making action films, but those are not going to age well. And when you remove them, he's back to being remembered for what? Rob Roy.
Being stabbed by a freak
Next of kin,
and falling into a pit.
So,
the
And I
underrated Swayze movie.
so what do we need? What do we need in conversation, or as an example, to get younger folks into older cinema and older folks to embrace new cinema? I mean, with new cinema, maybe it's Top Gun because they responded to that because it felt like a real movie.
Everybody
Yeah.
liked Top Gun.
But-
I think it's gonna. I honestly think it's much easier to get older people into newer things, than vice versa.
Yeah.
And part of
I'll
it is
agree.
like, I mean, you don't see. We're not remaking movies for an older audience. We're remaking movies for a younger audience.
Mhm.
And I mean, I think about it. Eventually, we're just gonna get like a shot-for-shot Ghostbusters remake, just so we can, update it enough so the young kids can understand it and appreciate it. And I hate that idea.
So yeah, that's one of my big issues is like redoing the same shit. Like, all right, well, those are the fucking jokes of the movie. You don't need to redo the movie so you can understand newer jokes. Either fucking like figure it out, ask someone, or just shut the fuck up and go, okay, I don't get that one, move on. There's no reason to just like comedies, especially. Like I can.
What
handle-
comedies? What comedies?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like if you were to remake a comedy, it's dumb. There's not much reason to do it.
Yeah, but the
Or
comedy's
other-
not something
other
that
genres
exists
I
right
can.
now.
Oh, of course.
Which
But
is
like
terrible.
other genres, I can kind of I can handle a remake a little better. I can like shoulder that. Okay, let's check it out. Maybe they had a different idea or something in the first one scared them, but they want to show that now. Like whatever the issue is, that's fine. I don't know what my point was. Leave me alone.
I think it would help if the younger generation has to go through a period of being extremely poor, and they only
Yeah.
have things like Tubi and Pluto TV, right?
Yeah.
Just-
That's the only
that's their
entertainment they
UHF
have.
and their early VHS era, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I
Tubi
agree.
is a
Do
savior.
you know what I would have done with Tubi when I was a kid?
Oh, it
Dear
would have been great.
God.
Yeah.
Look what's on there. I mean, Tubi, I think, and I'll also say Shudder, Screambox is coming up.
Yeah, but Tubi is like the MVP. Everything.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Oh, yes.
You can see Jallows on Tubi, so I agree. It is.
You can see
just-
Jesus Shows You the Way to the Highway on Tubi.
And you should,
Yeah.
What is
Yes.
It's
because it's one
very
of the best
important.
things of the last 25 years.
Yes.
Yeah. There's
Well, like,
more
I don't know, like-
on Tubi than you'll find on cable now. I mean, there's
And Pluto
just so
TV is
much.
awesome too. Sam mentioned that as well. Like that's
Yeah.
Mhm.
you watch
That's
Unsolved
fun.
Mysteries 24 hours a day on a loop.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
but I
you
do
can.
think there's
yes,
something.
you can.
I think there's something to be said for the fact, of course, that rarity is the reason we gave things chances. Like my worry is you give a young person Tubi and Pluto TV, they're gonna watch the first 5 minutes of Blood Beach, go, this ain't for me, and turn it off.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
it was the only horror movie playing that month on channel 13 when I was a kid. Well, 13 was PBS, but so channel 28 when I was a kid.
Mhm.
I was sitting through it, even if it was horrible, and I was looking for the good because, man, I needed my fix of horror films, and this was it. So I wonder if, like, they will even look for the good in things, or if they'll just click to the next thing, even if even with something like a Tubi, you know?
I don't know,
So
man.
I guess
think-
the issue really is like think about them outside of movies. Think about the older generations. These young kids don't know shit. I wouldn't listen to them if they had a knife to my throat, And the young kids like, that's old shit, I don't care. And then they don't have the attention span to like sit and like you said, 5 minutes in, I'm not it's not mine, I'm moving on. Next. Like because they have so many, let me do this, let me do that. Like I watched my girl's kid just like fucking everything is shorts or TikToks or fucking reels.
There's a reason that
you
media is
can't
made like that.
sit and watch a movie now.
Yeah.
So like we got to figure out like you've got to be able to hook them somehow. Like you just have to find it person
Well-
by person. There's not going to be one like solution.
I would argue that there was probably a similar argument to be made around the time home video became a thing, because you would have, like, imagine a YouTube back then, okay, late 70s, and we're on there bitching about, well, these kids are going to be able to watch it at home. They're going to have no appreciation for the cinema. Where will the theater be in 50 years, right? Like, but like it evolves and it changes into what it is today, and we're kind of going through that again. Like, I think it will always have some simulation of what we have now, and then the next generation will be saying the exact same thing about their kids.
I mean, yeah. How long can we live in? Can we live with the same like fast fashion, fast entertainment? It's not sustainable, especially with streaming services. You've got people dropping streaming services now because there are too many, and there's just too much out there to watch. So
yeah, but what I'm saying is it will kind of naturally work itself out. If that's like streaming services monopolizing, people are dropping streaming services. Like we're causing change in that market and how people view content.
Right,
and it's I think that's just like it's an evolving thing.
With the entertainment and shit, it's a quick wrestling reference. Just as far as like hot shotting the title. Which is so like this is essentially where we are. We're at the end of what that is. So hot shotting the title is basically it's having a title change solely for the shock factor. Oh, look, we changed the title tonight. Better tune in next week, see what else we're gonna do. And like you can do that, and you can get more a bigger audience or a higher television rating or whatever. But eventually, what are they going to do? Change the fucking title again? I'm not watching. I got shit to do, And I feel like we should have reached that point in entertainment, and we haven't yet. And that's about the only thing is we got to go. All right, stop making this fucking the stepping over dollars to make quarters thing of just making them. Hey, jump shot, quick! Hey, movie, loud CGI. Okay, let's go. And like we're not going to be able to make $1 billion in every fucking movie. Or
you can argue that
gross $1 billion.
You can argue that everything's got to be quick, and in these
eventually you've got to fucking pull it back and just give them something less than. And at first they're gonna go, you know what? This isn't as sweet or fucking salty as I like, and I don't think I'm gonna have any more of this.
The horror genre
it filled me up for a while. It really did. Yeah. It stuck to my ribs. I gotta have a little more.
The exact opposite of that.
And then you're wearing it to work, and you're just feeling weird. You go shopping with it in. Sorry.
I think the horror genre is well positioned because we're seeing in real time these superhero movies are dying. They are absolutely dying. It's it's still a slow process. They're not going to be completely gone, but I think horror, you can make money off $1 million. You can hammer out a great horror film for $1 million, put it in theaters, put the machine behind it, and make money. It's just getting to the point where certain films are just too big for their own good.
So I'll say this, and I know that in this community, for a lot of people, he's it's kind of a bad word now, but Jason Blum kind of showed people again. This can I get it that he's not like fucking obviously flawed. But he's like,
to say the least.
I didn't spend much to fucking get a hold of these rights or whatever the fuck. Didn't spend much to make the movie.
Oh yeah, the models.
Here we go. Like the models there, and it's always been there. But he just kind of like, don't forget, this is an option. But
he recognized that the Corman model was still valid.
Yeah.
That it's not brain surgery. And in the early years of Blumhouse, they were doing more good than bad. It was kind of generic, but you got to remember where we were at. We
remakes fucking after remakes.
Right. And that felt refreshing to see smaller, more intimate, self-contained stories. Yeah. Now the problem is success breeds bad decisions, and that's just true of Hollywood. I don't actually have animus towards Jason Blum as a person. I think the company is so wayward at this point. I have zero interest in what they're going to do going forward, but I think that there's something to be said about the correction that has always been in place with the horror genre. Is something comes out like a Blair Witch Project that costs nothing but really hits the zeitgeist, and bam, the horror genre is back and has some life to it. The bad side of it is that you have to get to the ridiculous points it's like being an alcoholic, right? You got to hit rock bottom before you can start building out. So we kind of need an end to the legacy sequel stuff before people will embrace something new that can take us for the next 30 years. It's just how it is. And until that happens, we're where we're at. I don't want to have that discussion tonight, but the truth is horror fans want to love this stuff. And that's the most brilliantly wonderful thing. It's also our downfall because we're too forgiving in times. But who wants to be the downer all the time? I mean, I'm accused of it all the time. At the same time, I'm the guy searching all over the world to find my hit, to find my, my sustenance.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, that's like that's the caveat with you is that you're negative, but you're not negative just sitting there doing nothing about it. Like you are looking, okay,
trying, but I think what it comes down to though is we need that one film that reaches everyone. And I don't mean it reaches everyone because it's generic. I mean the opposite. It reaches everyone because it's so bold and original and captivating that we all get in line. And then the studios say, hey, there's money in making something bold and creative. And maybe we can do the 70s again. Whereas look at the 70s, man. There is nothing in common with all the hits of in the genre in the 70s. It was all over the place. It was the Wild West.
I compare the 70s to now. Like I feel we very rarely get interesting social commentary in horror films today. There's exceptions, but generally speaking, we don't. I mean, we need our Death Dream. Like Death Dream is a commentary on Vietnam. I mean, my God, that movie is so good. And there's so much now that you could draw from, but it's just always, I don't know. So the attempts at social commentary now are just hammered to the head. There's nothing.
Yeah, but I mean, that's
clever.
not really. They're still doing that. I mean, as recent as 4 years ago, almost Black Christmas. Like it really shed a light.
Oh, that backfired though, dude.
I have so many problems with that movie, and I'm a feminist over here. That movie is awful. It's so bad. It's hit you over the head, stupid.
I know a lot of girls that went and got date raped on purpose after watching that movie. Because they were so offended.
I remember like finding out about what the plot was of that and in the private chat of the old Region Free, like just spelling it out and everyone's like, nah, that can't be it. That's too dumb.
It's literal.
It was all right.
Literal toxic masculinity.
Yes, there's a statue of an old white man that's secreting bad ooze.
Oh, so
people are like, no, there's no way. I'm like, I'm never going to see the movie, but that's
holy fuck.
It is something.
Guys, hold on. Sorry, Dan. Real quick. Black Christmas 2019 is a prequel to the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie.
It's Ivan Ooze.
I don't think that would have saved it, to be honest. But no, I mean, that's like the most extreme example. And I'm not like, not everything's woke. It's not that. I mean, that's like I said, that's a really extreme example. But yeah, it's just like we don't know how to do that anymore. And I'm like, look at what's going on in the world. Where's that great horror film that takes advantage of the wars going on right now?
Dan, let me help you with this. Just adapt a Bentley Little novel. Any Bentley Little novel. You'll have your social commentary. You'll have your great compelling story. You'll have your great characters. You're done. But Hollywood would never do that.
What, he didn't write any big novels?
You could argue that he wrote some of the biggest.
It took Lorne just a second longer than me to get it, Steak, but it was a good one.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah. So
we all have those films that we hold close to our hearts. Things like Bad Dreams, which is better than any of the Nightmare on Elm Street.
Shut your mouths.
That we wish that more people would hold in higher esteem. So let's shout them out. Let's give some films some love that sometimes just seem to fall through the cracks or not enough people talk about. Dan, why don't you start us off, because I'm sure that's going to be fascinating.
Okay, so I'm not segueing into my review here, am I? Or am I?
No. Well, review? No, we're not doing really reviews.
Okay. Well, there is one that I wanted to talk about.
Cool.
And it kind of segues into harkens back to that last conversation about stuff that you can't see now and that you don't see now. So this has recently become easier to see because they did finally put it out on a proper Blu-ray, but I would throw it out as a creature feature that you do not get today, and that is the William Chang Lee film Calamity of Snakes. Now, this movie is number one, real snakes. We go back to a time when, believe it or not, you had actual animals in these movies. Now, there's a whole lot of issues with this that I'll get into in terms of lots of snakes die. If you like snakes, they are killed on camera, and it's, not advocating to have that again. But if you're afraid of snakes, the genuine terror in this movie is off the charts. Snakes are thrown on little children. Snakes are put in mouths. There are thousands and thousands of snakes all over the place in this movie. It has the most memorable fight scene I think I've ever seen captured on film with a giant python that has to be seen to be believed. It's this fight in a warehouse, and I can't really recommend it more. This is a time when set safety was more of a suggestion and PETA was just a bread. Like this movie could not be made today, and I really highly recommend you guys check this one out. Unearthed Films put it out, and I will say they are donating a percentage to Save the Snakes Foundation. So yeah, I get it. I get it. Like,
fuck the whale, save the snakes.
Save the snakes.
Fuck them goddamn snakes. I hope they all die.
What you want this to be like Ireland?
And I hope they burn in hell.
The snakes are Protestants.
They are. This is a really interesting time because I think I talked actually a little bit about the Shaw Brothers horror films on Region Free when I first came on. This is not a Shaw film, but it is just something that we do not get anymore. From this to the Black Magic films of that era, I can't recommend it enough. I watched it last night. I was going to review something much weirder that I might do next time. I was like, okay, let me kick it off with something I can safely recommend to the chat that's not going to just traumatize everybody.
Is that other film Blood Spells Blood?
It is not. It is not. But it is a film.
More animal death in crueler ways than Cannibal Holocaust?
Strange Circus is what I was going to do for this. And I was like, maybe I'll give that. Yeah, maybe I'll give that one a little bit. Don't go that hard right out the gate. But yeah, I watched this and I was like, man, this is fun. And I miss that era. There were other films, Stanley's another snake flick that used real snakes. The Nest going later into the 80s, but real cockroaches. These were movies that really just gave you terror that you just can't get from CGI. And it works. And there's some bad snake films. They're not all great, but still, there is something about it. And if you are afraid of snakes, good God, guys, Calamity of Snakes is going to make you have the worst panic attack of your life. Because holy crap! Or if you do like snakes, it'll also give you the worst panic attack of your life. Yeah. And the last 25 minutes or so is just batshit. There's snakes all over the place, people falling on them. Like I said, there's one point where a child has snakes thrown on him. I check it out. You will not see this era of filmmaking probably ever again. You definitely won't. So
I can co-sign it. Calamity of Snakes is a great time.
Yeah.
Steak, what do you got for us?
I'm gonna take you back to 1986, folks.
Oh.
Specifically August 22nd, 1986. Film debuts in the theaters that day by the name of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And that is not the movie that I'm here to talk about. Fuck that movie. I hate that movie because it overshadowed one of the greatest opening weekends, or what should have been one of the greatest opening weekends, for a movie that is near and dear to my heart, Night of the Creeps.
Oh, nice.
I love Night of the
Ah,
Creeps.
So
I
now,
would say that-
listen, this isn't a movie that is unknown by any stretch, but it was a $5 million movie that pulled in a little over $500,000 total box office, which says to me that not a lot of people saw it. Now, luckily, with home video, it did gain quite an audience, but still, it took way too long to get a DVD release, and then way too long to get a Blu-ray release. We're finally there, and that's great. But I don't see what I see with a lot of other big franchise titles, or other movies that were able to fucking hop on into the pop culture zeitgeist. We don't see anything Tom Atkins related from that movie, be it
Thrill me.
Funko Pops, this, that, or the other. Yeah, that fucking dude was a catchphrase machine. The lack of shirts, fright rags, gutter garbs, terror threads. I'm calling all three of you fuckers out. You've done some stuff, nothing anywhere near, enough.
just sell mustache replicas. You'd make
Dude,
thousands and
anything.
thousands.
I would only have a mustache if I could glue one of those to my face every day.
Good thing that Tom Atkins had both arms in the film. Otherwise, I don't know what Steak would do.
But I mean, like the movie itself, like that's just like fucking. Let's get into the meat of that. I mean, it's an amazing movie. The story's terrific. The dialogue's fantastic. The monster effects work. Oh, by the way, it's an alien movie. It's a slasher. It's a zombie movie. It's fucking part teen comedy. You want it, they got it.
Yes.
Yep.
Like holy shit, man.
And it's
the
reverent
fucking-
for
the
the whole
music.
history of horror. It
Yes,
loves all of it. It's the
everywhere.
fifth. It's the 50s.
It's the 50s. It's the
Alien.
80s.
Yeah, absolutely. It has
everything.
70 grindcore in it. It has everything.
It's got creepy alien babies.
And Striper rules.
Yeah, Striper rules.
And it starts with a weird Star Wars thing.
And for all you Monster Squad fans, this is homie's best movie.
Yeah,
So,
I agree with that.
show a little
Yeah,
respect.
You're correct. I like Monster Squad. Don't get me wrong. But Night of the Creeps is where it's at.
A lot of people underrated the fandom for those two movies because, for a while it just felt like those were movies that only I knew about
Yeah.
because
too.
nobody ever talked about them. And obviously, Monster Squad got a documentary recently, so it's crazy how many people
remember
loved it. And it just
When
was
Slither came
quiet
out
about it.
in like 06, and I went and saw it, and I was like, wait a
06,
minute.
yeah.
Does anyone else know?
So what I will say about at least like the home video releases, the DVD and the Blu-ray are worth getting a hold of. I have no idea whether they're out of print or whatever. But the extras that they worked on to throw on there's like the commentary tracks are incredibly interesting and funny. All the little interviews are fucking hilarious. But
Shout
again,
out
like, you
Michael
got the three.
Felcher.
Yeah, like you have Jason Lively, Joe Whitlow, and Steve. He plays JC, but and then they're with Tom Atkins on the commentary, and it's like these three younger people, and then Tom just goes, "Yeah, I bet she had a nice pussy," like classy, gentlemanly Tom Atkins way, but it did have that energy still, so all of that stuff is what I'm looking into, and I want more.
Is there a
fucking shirts,
classy
man.
way to compliment a pussy though? Like I feel like
Ask
I could
Tom
never
Atkins.
pull that off. I'm getting pepper sprayed.
Next time you
but
see
maybe
Tom
not.
Atkins, ask for some
Compliment
tips.
his pussy.
No, don't compliment his pussy. He'll break your nose.
I will do that.
You have a beautiful vagina, sir. It is just-
Then just walk
Great.
away from his table. Just
Yeah.
walk
And
away
it
from his table.
blows you away.
Can somebody clip this and post it on Tom Atkins' Twitter?
Seriously,
I
man.
think it's already happened.
I want everybody in the chat to tag him and say you have a
Primo.
lovely vagina, Tom Atkins. Right now.
Make it happen.
Just
Jesus
blow
Christ,
it
we're
up.
gonna be responsible for a lot of people getting banned from every social network.
Tom Atkins, I appreciate you and your whispering eye. I love you, Ben Grimm.
Jonathan, what movie you pimping tonight?
I'm gonna pimp a block of movies. I don't think we've gotten far enough away from this time in history yet, but like we'll name it eventually. But it's the period of time between like 2006 and 2010, straight to video horror. like there was a huge boom. That's when we got all the DVD labels. Like I've been collecting those recently, like Dimension Extreme, the 8 Films to Die For, all that straight to video stuff. Most of it is garbage, but some of it is very, very good. And it's kind of fun. I'm not going to tell you which ones are good either. I'm not even going to go that far because it's more
Perkins
fun.
14.
It's more fun to watch each one of those and just judge it for what it is.
To get 8 films, that was what I loved. I was just like, I'm going to go to Walmart today. I'm going to buy 8 new horror movies.
I remember saving like my little pizza job.
I wish they had started doing that a little sooner though, because like the 8 Film to Die For, like at first they were just here each movie separately, and eventually just fuck it, just have.
You guys remember when they were in theaters, right?
Yeah, that first
I remember that they
never
got to
came
go to
near
some
me.
Theaters. Yeah.
Oh,
Never came near me.
The first batch I saw like all of them in the theater for. There was like every night there was 2 of them playing. The Abandoned is amazing, but
Coming from Unearthed on Blu-ray.
Yeah, that's an underrated film in the true sense of underrated, in that people do not understand how good that movie is.
It's amazing, yeah.
But you're right, Jonathan. We need. I think straight to streaming is a little bit more dangerous, right? It feels like more corners are cut.
Yeah,
it still feels like closer to real cinema.
Well,
anyway.
It's too much. It's too much at one time. Like for so many of the, like during that period of time, the reason I brought up that time specifically, not just 8 Films to Die For, but there were so many niche lines from like Lionsgate and Miramax or whoever it was that were constantly, maybe twice a month, just throwing out some indie title at you. And there was a lot of gems around that time. That's around the time you saw IFC Midnight kind of start being a thing, and like all of a sudden, like, okay, well, that if I see IFC Midnight on something, like I'm gonna pick it up.
Yeah, seal of quality. I mean?
So it became this new way, because there's so much for, that's really what labels are, is they're curating for you, right? Like they're telling you like, hey, I think you would like this.
Yeah.
So like there was just so many of that. There was so many of that. There was so much of that during that time period. We got stuff like the 8 Films to Die For several years, and like Midnight Movie, the Hatchet series, which I know we can go all day about stuff like that, but that was a big deal when that came out. Splinter, the Feast movies, John Gulager, just as a whole.
Splinter is great.
At some point, I think that we're not there yet, but I think that's going to be a very nostalgic time for a lot of folks.
We're getting there, I think, because a lot of that's coming on Blu-ray, and you're realizing, I'm not, because Splinter, my God, why isn't that talked about?
Splinter's amazing, because I'm not.
Yeah, everybody that's seen it loves it.
Feast was going to be my pick until I remembered there were sequels.
I like the sequels.
I haven't seen them yet. I have them. I have them.
They're cheaper.
Oh,
they're cheaper.
Weird.
They're cheaper, but they take big swings. Big swings.
Wild.
I mean,
you want to see an infant?
For all of them,
you want to see an infant put on a catapult?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
What? An infant on a catapult?
Like I said, John Gulager in general.
Yeah.
So like you could lump like Piranha 3 Double D in there with that too. But just like
him and his brother, or him and his father, are fucking marvels, and I love them both.
But I hope I'm not cheating for doing that. But there's
I love that.
That period of time is super, super important to me, because that's my formative years. It's like 16 to 20.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
I would argue that that's like analogous to when the independent movie theaters used to play the stuff that the mainstream theaters wouldn't play in that period of like 75 to 85.
Yeah.
So we need that somehow in the digital realm, and I don't know how we get that.
Well, it's like I said, it's scarcity that drove it. I think initially.
I have to say that I haven't dug through as many. Like, although I'm only 2 years younger than you, Jonathan. Like, I did grow up with all those around.
Yeah.
Wasn't in a position, just the way I grew up, wasn't in a position to get a hold of many of those titles. But I will say that I will forever be grateful to Netflix in whatever form they exist in, solely because of when they were only a DVD company.
Yeah.
The titles that I was able to see well before streaming was even thought about because of them. And some of the first copies that I owned of things were because of them too. Thanks, guys. Like Return of the Living Dead. My first copy of that on disc was from Netflix. It was that bare bones one, which is fine.
That's the MGM disc everybody got at Walmart, buddy. That's the same one we all had.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I like the one right after that where they did throw a couple interviews in and shit.
With the green slip cover. I still have that one. That was a big deal when it came out.
No, that was huge. And I'm glad you brought up IFC because before the Scream Factory relationship, anytime somebody's like, they don't make good horror movies anymore. And I'm like, oh my God, Red, White, and Blue, Left Bank, Sauna. I mean, you can just go to every kind of horror film too. You could go down that IFC.
I was always at least glad that I watched it. I never felt cheated.
It never felt like a Lionsgate piece of shit. Like there's a couple if I go in there, I'm sure I could find a couple that weren't great. But for the most part,
they weren't all amazing.
Quality. Yeah. But there's a lot of amazing ones there. Pre-Scream Factory. Now it's like you might get something great. You might get,
Dimension Extreme. How much awesome shit came out through Dimension Extreme?
Yeah, well, that was that second tier, like all the Asian titles after your Ringus and your Kairos. You
Inside
got all the stuff that they could do, and then the French Extreme came. And
French
Welcome to the Jungle.
Yep.
So that Dimension Extreme, the first title I got from Dimension Extreme was like
Teeth.
I feel like it was just put out because Diary of the Dead had come out.
Automatic Transfusion.
Like Zombie. No, it was called like Zombie Diaries. It wasn't that.
It
wasn't that one. But it was like Zombie Diaries or some bullshit.
Yeah.
Zombie Diaries.
We were fucking lied to about Automation Transfusion. Like there was a massive,
it was the coolest fucking cover, and it was at a Walmart, and I didn't get it, and luckily I didn't.
It was so shiny. It was so fucking shiny.
There's stuff I could tell you about that movie that's unfortunately private, but yeah. Oh God, people were pissed.
Oh, we won't be live the whole night.
The websites that like said the next evolution.
Oh, dude, I heard this was it. This is
lies.
The next big thing.
And I learned later that horror websites do fucking just outright lie to push something they need to.
I remember thinking there was something wrong with me. Like I'm like, everybody has talked so well about this.
Oh
like,
yeah,
I don't see any of it.
I have to be an idiot.
The most extreme example of just bullshittery that I've ever seen in my life was that that awful film. But that era though was good too, and that cover art was cool. You remember Broken, where the slip you pulled it apart and you see the guts.
Pieces. Yeah.
They were doing some gimmicks like that again that I thought were cool.
I said, I love Welcome to the Jungle. I think that's an awesome found footage, like cannibal movie.
It's a good entry point. I always throw that out.
Yeah, it's not it's dip your toe into cannibal movies.
You don't want to see a turtle obliterated, maybe start there. Or Massacre in Dinosaur Valley, which is a fun one.
That's a great one.
Yeah, it's like Indiana Jones blended with like a Italian cannibal film, and it's good shit.
A couple of machetes are gonna meet foreheads, but yeah.
Yeah. But
so Sam, what are you championing tonight that's not called Ghostbusters?
No.
Ghostbusters. No, it's
Ghostbusters 2016.
Right. Oh man, no. I don't want to go into that. That's a tale for another day. I would, keeping it in the horror genre, I'm gonna put up American Mary from 2012 with Catherine Isabelle, and it's not like it's one of those movies that's not known, but it kind of doesn't get the same level of attention I think it should for having an interesting and flawed protagonist. Because she's in medical school and her grandmother was helping her out with the bills, and costs start piling up. She starts dancing at a strip club, but it turns out that they also do body modifications, like extreme ones in the back. Don't know why.
So I get mine done.
Oh, yeah. Catherine Isabelle, good choice.
Yeah. No, just strip clubs in general. Always in the back. You can get body modifications.
So, she starts doing that, and also she's still going to medical school, and one of the instructors ends up raping her at a party. So then she goes and tortures him to death, which was amazing and well deserved. All the meanwhile, she's still also trying to, do medical school, do the body modifications out of her apartment, and also kind of keep it on the DL that she's got this guy, off in this warehouse where she's just performing different things on him periodically, I guess. Probably just to take out her frustration. But I think what I like the most about it is just sort of the ending where, spoiler alert if you 10-year-old movie. But she ends up getting killed and she stitches herself up before dying, just as a final fuck you. So I would definitely recommend that. And I believe there already is a 4K of American Mary, though.
It's a fun one that you mentioned it because, like, the Soskas, I don't think they've ever been able to follow it up with something that good. Like, no. They peaked early, and nothing else that they've done has come even close to American.
See No Evil 2.
It's fun, but
it's the wrong direction.
It also has 15 minutes of them showing what happens in the movie because they ran out of movie.
Yeah,
like look,
I really like Dead Hooker in the Trunk.
Yeah,
I know I'm in the minority on this, but I think I'm zoned into where they were coming from.
You could have blown my mind if you said Vendetta with Big Show and Dean Cain.
What?
That would have just blown my mind. That's
what
another
so
revenge movie with Big Show and Dean Cain.
I don't think Lorne knows what a Big Show is.
That is not how those words work, sir.
Okay, Lorne,
the Big Show is you.
7 foot tall.
I don't care.
Professional.
I don't care.
It's the opposite of Lorne. Lorne is the little show.
We need to support the English language as it exists and not change it with bullshit wrestling terms.
Did you realize that you had
Paul
a show
White.
going on with 4 wrestling fans?
Let's say you're the weird one, buddy. You're the weird one.
You're the dork nerd.
Yeah, in this group, we're cool.
I don't think that's true. But
nope, still true.
Break his Star Wars
Take it to the
lunchbox
chat.
now.
Chat, let us know. Let us know. If you are pro wrestling, type. I don't know. What are they?
Well, there you go. But there you go.
Type
I'm on
sucks
drugs,
penis
sir.
in the chat.
I will.
Thing.
I will accept the resignation of your argument.
Nope. I'm not stupid. I'm just high. It's a difference. Let us know if you like wrestling.
But Sam, that's a really good choice, to be honest with you, because that film does what I always thought that Jennifer's Body wanted to do, but it had no balls.
Yeah.
Is tell a really female-centric story really to its completion properly. And its point of view is pretty amazing. I'd say it's a cousin to May, which is another incredible movie.
Love May.
It's been a while since I've seen that.
May could be on this list.
I give May the advantage. I'd also throw out a film called Elise Kills. Nobody talks about that, but that's another good. If you like those movies, definitely check it out.
I want to give some love to Visiting Hours from 1982.
Oh, good pick.
For as much as this community and horror community in general, beyond us, loves slasher films, no one talks about the slasher film with the slasher played by Michael fucking Ironside.
The biggest heel in the history
How is
of
that
cinema.
possible? Like, just one of the coolest actors ever. I mean, Ham Tyler from V, right? But
Prom Night to Hello Mary Lou.
Oh my God! Just
Major Pain.
Briefly, Terminator Salvation, though they didn't know what to do with him. But no, I mean he's Michael Ironside. He's amazing. Scanners. But that film is a great suspense piece that is designed in ways. It kind of answers those questions that when you watch a Halloween film and you go, well, what would happen the next day? And this movie's like, oh, well, let's explain that. It's this brilliant sort of psychodrama. His performance is really, really, really amazing. It's kind of like if you like Fade to Black, how it kind of explains the psycho, but still gives you all the psycho thrills. It's kind of in that league, although it feels almost like the Joker also because it feels very like legit. I mean, with Joker, I mean.
Mhm.
I just think it's an amazing film that needs some love, and it's currently available as a double feature with Bad Dreams. You know, the film that's the best Nightmare on Elm Street
I
sequel.
will kill each and every one of you.
Is that the title
You
of this
need-
goddamn show? Like, did I miss
I will-
something? It's been brought
Bad
up
Dreams.
28 times tonight.
It's either that or
Take the
Whispering Eye.
nostalgia goggles off and just.
I do
watch
have to
them
laugh though
objectively.
because I did just pick that double feature up.
It's a
It's
great.
great. It is
And I
great.
have not seen it yet. So
See, I
Visiting
wish-
Hours is
I wish Shout would do more like that, because that's great value. We don't necessarily need a million special features on films like that. Just give us the movies looking great.
Yeah.
That's what we want. Give us as many movies looking and sounding great as you can before this whole thing collapses on us.
yeah.
And
because like
this is the kind of thing, like, I don't know if anyone but me would buy Visiting Hours on its own disc. But when you pair it
Well,
with something like
I
Bad
would.
Dreams, you know, the best Nightmare on Elm Street sequel, it becomes something that I think people would purchase. And I think a lot of people probably own. I think a lot of people probably own that set and probably have never watched it. They probably only watched Bad Dreams, and that makes me a little sad.
We accept your resignation, Steak.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they don't do any double features. I remember Video Dead and Terror Vision. And
That's still like one of my favorite double features I did. The Tales from the Crypt, Vault of Horror double feature. That's an
So
essential.
it's the
one
Amicus titles, yeah. That's,
Yep.
that's
oh yeah.
that I always wrongly attribute to Hammer.
Mhm.
all right. So let's go out on a bang, guys. In probably our favorite segment of the night, which I call co-ed and sheer negligee grabs his flashlight with the dying batteries, go investigate suspicious sounds in the basement during a power outage on the anniversary of that prank that went horribly awry.
Ooh.
So we're talking about dumbest moments in horror movies.
Mr.
Sam
Kata!
wants to
Mr.
go.
Kata!
Sam wants to go, so she can go.
You're not old enough to make that a reference. What are you doing?
Up your nose.
I
with
am.
the
Like I've never
hose.
seen. Wait, you're born in '92. Fuck off. I've got 8 years on you.
I don't have to explain myself
That's
to this
coming
child.
from the guy that'll make fucking Quincy MD references. So I guess that's a fair point.
That's true. Fuck off is always a fair point. Anyway, three words. Evil dies tonight.
Oh.
The dumbest thing that ever happened to horror.
Just the whole thing, I take it.
Halloween Kills in general, but specifically Evil Dies Tonight is one of the dumbest things that they ever did. Like, it breaks my brain. What? Who wrote that line? I want to know who wrote that line. They need to be fired and no
Danny
more writing.
McBride, if I had to guess.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. Probably.
Well, I
feel like that's a little too broad for Danny McBride. And that's saying something, folks.
Ha ha. Dan, what's your stupidest horror film moment?
So this one's actually a good film, but it is. I remember watching it and even rewatching it a few times over the years. It still gets me every time, and that is Jeepers Creepers. When they decide to actually go down that drain.
Oh, that was really dumb.
Well, and not just that, and I get it. Somebody's like, well, so they're good people and they want to help somebody. And I'm thinking, like, how the hell would they expect to get anybody out of it? They just had these encounters with this guy who could
How
come
does he
back
get
at
out of
any
it?
minute. Well, that too.
Well, I don't think we ever get that explanation in the movie, how he gets out of that hole.
Maybe
It's just
you
like
can,
a hard cut and they're running.
Yeah, you can argue maybe, hey, go over there, say, hey, I'm going to get help. I'm going to try and get to a phone, whatever. But that one just always really got me. And it's also extremely suspenseful. The first half or so of that movie is pretty perfect. But it's still, even in the theater, I was like, no fucking way. No fucking way do you go down there. Even if it's a friend, you come up with some other way, because you're not going to help them by going down there. It always bothered me. Yeah, it was either that. Another good one was Blair Witch throwing the map in the creek. Everybody brought that one up. But Jeepers Creepers really sticks with me for that scene. Logically, it made no sense.
Jonathan.
Mine is The Mist. When you decide 18 seconds after the car runs out of gas to murder everyone in the car. That's it. Like that's the dumbest thing ever. Yeah, we get that we hear something coming. Wait till it fucking gets there and assess the situation. Don't murder everyone in the car immediately.
I could argue for that one though, Jonathan.
Like, can't. It was no, hang on.
They're gonna
hang on.
All right.
Boom, 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 boom.
What if they get sucked right out the window? They're Lovecraftian creatures, tentacle, boom. Then it's just like peeling your kid like a
little too trigger happy,
like an orange.
Like he was ready.
I'm just saying, I can understand that.
No,
if I thought all hope's lost and you guys are gonna get ripped apart by God knows what, I would kill all of you.
Nobody give
fuck
Dan
you, man. Let him tear me up.
Nobody give Dan the gun.
If you
convey,
I would
gun.
I would rather be ripped
if
apart.
I ever get myself in that situation, I'm gonna see if this mouth is any good. That's all. I'm gonna just do my best.
You're gonna blow the Lovecraftian creature?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
We don't know what its motives are.
Deep.
How do you convey it? You're not a Japanese
Everything's perverted.
girl,
we know that now. Like that's the only.
Says you.
For sure.
I think we've
being a
learned
Japanese
lot about...
woman is all about attitude.
I think we've learned a lot about how Dan treats his friends. He's not going to go down into a drainage pipe for them or whatever.
He's going to murder us.
He's going to murder us all
immediately.
To clarify, I would go over and say, "Hey, buddy, I'm going to go get the cops."
And then you'd murder us.
Hopefully, you're not already dead, but I'm going to go get the cops. But no,
any minor inconvenience, Dan just murders everybody in the car. Like, car just runs out of gas.
If
Dan
you convey that you
in
would rather not be mercy killed, I will respect you. I will let you try and wager a blowjob to the whatever outside. But no, if I have to make the decision, I would rather just quick death than seeing you ripped apart by God knows what. I stand by that.
Nobody give Dan a gun.
I think that's rude, but
sorry.
Dick, tell us what stupid really is.
So I, as stupid as it may be, I had a hard time picking something out for this because it almost defeats the purpose. None of these movies happen without someone doing something incredibly stupid and illogical. Once I got past that, I settled on Rob running back down the stairs into the basement and then screaming, "He's killing me, he's killing me. Oh God, he's killing me." It never made sense to me. Sitting here overthinking about it, I guess maybe he did kill his sister, but still, get him in the light. Be a little smarter about it. He goes on this whole fucking hunting expedition, for this fucking mongoloid.
2 days after he killed his sister.
And then, straight down the stairs. Okay, let's do this. Dumb. Failing that, if that's not going to be accepted. Not closing the beach because you'd have a panic. But again, you don't do that, you don't really have a movie. So I suppose this whole thing has to kind of be in context.
Yeah. Tourist dollars. I can defend the mayor.
Yeah, well, I mean,
recession.
Sure.
You don't want to.
So my question is
because you can defend it, because you can play defense attorney, doesn't mean it's good.
When shark attacks actually happen, in Florida, do they close the beaches?
I couldn't tell you, and
they don't.
Hope to never find.
They absolutely do not. It's like no one goes in that afternoon, and then the next day it's back to business.
Yeah.
Mine is actually not just one movie. It's every haunted house film after the haunting. Just leave.
Yeah.
Just leave. Because ultimately that's what they end up doing in all these movies, right? That last scene is like the shutters are going slamming and there's wind in the house for some reason. And they run out the door like, wait, what? We forgot Bobby the dog. And they run back and they grab Bobby the dog and then they leave in the station wagon. That's every fucking haunted house movie.
I'd go back for
in
Bobby.
Poltergeist, the house left.
That's true.
Yeah, the evil does follow you,
but they still run out of the house before that happens.
That's true. But
And so like, why do you let things escalate to the point where you're like, even in Poltergeist? Oh, we're staying because Carol Ann's in the house. I'm sorry, you visit the house when you have an answer about how to get her back, but just feeding more people to the closet.
What is she?
That
5,
doesn't make
6?
any sense.
How many memories did you really have with her?
Yeah, that's right.
You can make a new one.
She's young.
It's easy.
Get a better one.
Just keep her off television sets in the coming years, and you'll probably be fine.
Maybe shoot for something a little less Aryan this time, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, maybe don't buy a fucking house from the Pathmark guy.
Now, I will say, good writing would be like, okay, well, what happens if people are like kidnapped and chained up in a haunted house and then left, and then they like kidnappers leave? Now you can't leave. Now that's a haunted house movie, right?
Yeah, or it just keeps you in there.
But if you could choose to leave, well, I don't like the whole like the doors don't work shit, because I would just like bust out a fucking wall at that point. But no windows that strong. But I hate when people don't leave. Like The Conjuring. What does it take for you guys to leave? Really?
I mean,
when you have like undead chicks jumping off of cabinets, that's it. I'm done. I'm like, hey, skeptical atheist me just said, you've just reevaluated my entire worldview. I'm leaving. Bye. That's it.
I would love to see a frightened, like, ghost.
There's got to be a scientific reason
Yeah.
that Hutch just came flying at me.
I want to see Lorne just like scared of a ghost.
Ghosts? That's not going to happen. I've been scared of a lot of things in life. Ghosts is not one of them. Sorry, dude.
I've been scared by ghosts.
A poltergeist.
And then ghosts that weren't ghosts.
Yeah, I'm still, my head's still on the mist. I don't think, yes, obviously that's heartbreaking.
You're a fucking murderer.
I'm not, though. That's the thing.
Not yet.
What if you were truly like, all right, the nukes fall? Do you really want to see like your loved one's skin fall off and all that shit?
Look,
buddy,
I'm
if
the
you get
first
hit
one.
by a nuke, there's not enough time to see anything.
Well,
There's gonna be a and that's it, and then it's just darkness.
You can
That's
be
not-
stuck
that's-
in. You can
that's
be
not
stuck
how
in the fallout. And the
Yeah, that's not how
surrounding area.
Hiroshima happened. Like, read John Hershey's book, Hiroshima. Like that's
I've been to the
freaking
museum.
horrifying.
I've been to the museum in Hiroshima, and yeah, people's faces melting off. It's it's tremendous. It's terrifying, and yeah, I would run towards the nuke if I was, if that was
Because
close.
if you're gonna be a mile out, you might as well be in the front row, right?
Oh yeah.
I don't want to die a slow death of radiation poisoning or my skin falling off. So
yeah,
there you go. Break my neck, shoot me, whatever.
Oh, you might look cool.
I'm
okay,
the one
now,
doing
Dan.
it, not you.
Yeah, but
You're
hang
not
on, Dan.
pushing me into the nuke.
All right, look, I'll give you that. Okay, let's go with that. You don't want to watch everybody's face melt off. Okay, now we're in this situation. This is the equivalent of as soon as the message goes out that there's a nuke on the way, you just shoot everyone, and then immediately it's like, whoops. This has just been a test of our emergency alert.
Didn't that happen in Hawaii like 2 years
It
ago?
did happen.
Yes, it did.
So
Yeah.
Dan would have killed everyone in the house.
That's right.
And then
Oh.
I would have waited to see it in the sky. Come on.
okay, well then you just proved my point.
No, I
You
didn't.
just proved
Yes,
my
you
point.
did.
Look, all right, look at this.
You
The
acted too
mist.
soon. You said it.
All right, I'm gonna call bullshit. In
No,
the mist,
you
they
just
already
agreed.
saw the creatures. He knew those creatures were there. And
Was
they
there
wanted
a
to
creature?
kill
Were they in direct, immediate danger at that
Now
moment?
listen, if one of those
Yes.
tentacles had grabbed a man, kill the man.
Look,
Yeah.
the tentacles. That's a shitty car from what I remember in there. That tentacle will go right through, pull
First
them
of all,
out.
bro, that's a Land Rover, and that's one of your nicer vehicles on the road.
Okay, well, still, the windows are getting broken by Cthulhu.
It's a 5-star vehicle.
That's fine.
Models are
Cthulhu was nowhere near it because guess what, Dan? It wasn't a goddamn monster. It was the fucking cavalry. That's why.
But they don't. They know there's a threat. A hypothetical nuke. Sure, you might be thinking in your head, okay, maybe it's a false alarm. It's not a false alarm. They were in that grocery store a long time. A lot of people died. So I'm just saying, Thomas Jane was right.
Dan's wrong. Everybody heard it.
You will wish I
So,
had.
wait. I could end this debate on the proper note. That ending's the only thing I like about The Mist.
I'm surprised
Because it's so cynical and ugly. And the rest of the movie is so dumb, really. I mean, if you think about it, so it's like
It's like
I'm cool with I'm cool with the guy shooting his kid on camera.
Yeah.
Guys, I want to thank you for doing this. Like, I've missed this
Yes.
so much. I really have, and I hope you guys out there watching. I hope this brought you back to where we were. We're gonna do it once a month on the 13th of every month. We're only doing it monthly because we don't want to face the burnout issues that sometimes come with the territory. Also, you really don't need more than 2 hours of us every month, I think.
Mm-mm.
Guys, do you have anything you want to scream out there for yourself?
Off the Grill podcast, Mondays at 10 p.m. in the East. Follow me over there, and then on Twitter at twitter.com/steaksauceotg.
New channel, the Bluegrass Cannabis Company. Please go over there and subscribe. That's going to be cannabis focused.
Okay.
So check it out.
Focused.
Focused. Yes,
Flesh Flesh Wound features here on YouTube. What else we got going? A lot of shows, as always. Also streamxpw.com. For those of you that like gorier wrestling, check that out as well. And that's not me. I'm not in XPW, but we cover it a lot. And what else do I have to plug? Oh, might be working on a movie. So stay tuned. Maybe the next show I'll have more to say about that.
And you can find me on Visited by Voices with Lorne at Visited by Voices 1 on YouTube. And also with Kat Vincent as part of Ethereal Funereal, where we laugh at the dark shit in life and just bring a little bit of levity to the gravity of things. And we're part of the RD2 collective, RD2 TV collective on YouTube.
I Visited by Voices 1 on YouTube, of course. More content is coming. I know it's been a long time, but a lot of crap has been going on in life. So hang tight. We got a bunch of exciting things. And of course, I need you all to consider buying a book.
Yes.
Good night, everyone. Have a good one. We'll see you in a month.
Chris loves you.
That was the same shit as the last time.
Well, you picked the last one, and they didn't like the last one.
You didn't like the last one? But you were laughing the whole time.
Yeah, because it was ridiculous.
Ridiculous? That's a classic.
I'm not really into all the weird cousin shit that was going on.
You lied to me.
You picked this one. You picked this one. Cousin shit.